Okay, let's talk about making decisions. In a world that's just overflowing with information, with uncertainty, making a good call can feel, well, almost impossible, right? We're always told get more data, weigh all the options, think it through. But what if that's the very thing that's holding us back?
You know that feeling? I'm sure you do. You've got like a dozen tabs open in your browser, you've made 3 different pro and con lists, and you are still no closer to actually making a choice. That's called analysis paralysis, and it's that awful, overwhelming feeling of being so bogged down by information that you just freeze. You can't decide at all.
But there is a way to break free from that. What you really need is a structured framework, a mental model that's specifically designed to cut through all that noise and bring some clarity, some confidence back into your decision-making, something to help you move forward.
And that tool, it's called the OODA Loop. It's a really simple 4-step cycle that can totally transform how you approach challenges. And I'm not just talking about huge, high-stakes situations. I mean in your everyday life too.
So here it is, in all its glory. Observe, orient, decide, and act. You can see right away how they all flow into each other, creating this continuous loop. It looks simple, and it is, but the real power here is in that cycle, not just the individual steps.
So what is it exactly? Well, you can think of the OODA Loop as a process for filtering information, putting that information into context that makes sense for you, and then quickly making the best possible choice, all while staying open to new stuff that comes in.
And listen, this isn't just some corporate buzzword someone made up. The OODA Loop was actually developed by a military strategist, an Air Force colonel named John Boyd, to help fighter pilots make split-second, life-or-death decisions in the middle of combat. So yeah, if it can work in a dogfight, it can definitely help you figure out your next career move.
Okay, so let's really dive into this. We're going to start by breaking down the first 2 super crucial steps of the process. This is all about gathering information and then making sense of it. First up, step 1, observe. This phase is all about collecting the raw data. You're not judging it, you're not analyzing it yet, you're simply taking in the facts of the world around you. So, let's say you want to go hiking this weekend. Observing is checking the weather, looking at a map of trails, and just noticing that, hey, I only have Saturday free. That's it, just the raw info.
Now, to do this well, you gotta ask yourself some honest questions. Start with the basics. What is my reality right now? Then, go a little deeper. Why do I even feel the need for a change here? And finally, you have to be real with yourself. How badly do I want to see this through? Being honest here creates your baseline.
And now we get to what Colonel Boyd called the single most important step in the whole loop, orient. This is where that raw data becomes actual understanding. If observing is just seeing the facts, orienting is making sense of them based on your unique context, your past experiences, your culture, your goals. This is the secret sauce, the sense-making step. During orientation, you're essentially building a mental map. So for a hiking example, you might think, okay, the forecast says there's a chance of rain, and I remember that last time I got caught in a storm, it was absolutely miserable. Also, that trail is pretty steep and my knee's been acting up. See, you're adding your own personal context to that raw data you observed. All right, let's move to the second half and see how this all comes together. This is where all that understanding turns into actual, tangible, forward momentum. This is the action phase. Step 3, decide, is all about creating a plan. Based on how you've oriented yourself, you select a specific course of action. I like to think of this as creating your hypothesis. So for our hike, your decision isn't just go hiking. It's more like, my hypothesis is that Trail B is the best option because it's less steep and it has more tree cover in case it rains. And this isn't just about picking an option, it's about building a real, concrete plan. What specific path are you going to follow? And, this is critical, how are you going to handle obstacles? Okay, I'll pack a rain jacket and an extra pair of socks, and if my knee starts to hurt, my turnaround point is that scenic overlook. A great decision always anticipates challenges. Finally, we get to step 4, act. This is where the rubber meets the road. You take that decision you just made and you implement it. You test your hypothesis out there in the real world. You pack your bag, you get in the car, and you drive to the trailhead for Trail B. To make your action really effective, you need specifics. What's your approach? I'll leave by 7 a.m. to get a good parking spot. What's your action plan? Well, it's the items on your packing list, the directions you plugged into your phone. Because you have to remember, a brilliant decision without any action is really just a daydream. So here is the crucial point, the part that a lot of people miss. You can't just go through these 4 steps once and call it a day. The real, true power of this framework is right there in its name. It's a loop. It's a continuous cycle of learning and adapting.
And what's so cool about this is how it shows the loop in action. Look at how that arrow from ACT feeds right back into the top, creating new information for you to observe. So you start your hike, that's the ACT. But you immediately start observing again. Whoa, the trailhead is way more crowded than I expected. That's new data. And guess what? The loop has already started all over again.
And this right here is the secret to winning. The goal isn't to make one single perfect decision. It's to cycle through observing, orienting, deciding, and acting faster and more effectively than whatever problem you're facing or, in a dogfight, your opponent. Agility is everything.
So, the next time you feel stuck, just remember this simple mantra. Observe your situation. Orient yourself using your own context and your own goals. Decide on a path forward, and then act, and repeat as necessary.
Think about it. What's a decision that's on your plate right now, big or small? With the OODA Loop in your toolkit, how can you move from that feeling of paralysis to action, maybe even starting today?